The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is a seriously intense film. It captures the atmosphere of the novel perfectly, and it creates a stylised cinematic reality in Fincher's image. And you know what? I'm all here for it. It's slick, it's dark, yet because of the characters, themes and the very clear storytelling, it's a totally immersive experience. You just want to spend more time with Lisbeth and Mikkel because their world is so interesting and exciting. It's a story about serious real-world issues, but it's presented in a way that's both visually striking and emotionally intense. You always know when you're watching Fincher. His style is so distinct, but his filmmaking is really transparent and easy to process. The lighting isn't overly dramatic or over the top, so it still feels somewhat natural, which helps the world become that much more believable. The colour palette is also very typical of Fincher, juxtaposing the cool blues and greys of outdoor Sweden with the warm yellow hues of the indoor sets. There's a real visual consistency throughout the whole movie, which, yeah, that's just good practice, I guess. But Fincher, as always, takes that consistency to the next level. Similarly, the editing and the cinematography makes the camera feel totally invisible through the majority of the movie, only breaking that trend to show a character's state of mind through unconventional camera moves, such as this one. Even if you've never seen the movie before, you understand that this character is troubled and full of rage. Then there's Fincher's more usual, subtle and very precise framing, which I'd like to demonstrate with the scene when we're first introduced to Lisbeth. In his moving shots, Fincher almost always keeps the character in the same part of the frame, following them through the scene. As they're talking, Lisbeth is distanced from the other two characters in the scene. She's even tucked right into the side of the frame in this shot, and she's nearly entirely facing totally away from the camera in this shot. All of this shows her antisocial nature and the sense of mystery surrounding Lisbeth. Following on from Fincher's transparent filmmaking, the visuals make it really easy to understand Mikkel and Lisbeth's investigation. I remember reading it in the book and getting quite confused as to who in the Vanger family was who, but Fincher uses the medium of film to his advantage in this case and does a great job of clearly visualising every element of the investigation. Every step is backed up by the shots, and virtually nothing is left to just the dialogue alone. Close-up of newspaper clippings, photos and computers are frequently used for important details, and it's always clear where the audience's attention should be. Not only that, but the film isn't bogged down with too many flashbacks, and it only uses them when it's strictly necessary for the story. And you're always told with voiceover included, further providing clarity to the scene. Fincher also keeps the pace up through the movie, helped along by cutting between Lisbeth and Mikkel until their paths inevitably cross. As far as Fincher's filmmaking is concerned, he seems to follow the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. And he does so with great effects, I think. Lisbeth Salander is a modern-day hero. She can hack, she has an eidetic memory, and she can handle herself well against her opponents. Yet she isn't a superhero. Some seriously messed up things happen to her during this story, and it's clear she's only gained her skills through necessity. She's always had to fend for herself in a system of neglect and abuse, and she makes her own rules because the rules in place are broken beyond repair. Now, this makes for a fascinating character. Lisbeth is highly proficient and capable, but she also has a very believable character because she is so vulnerable, and she has her own set of flaws in her antisocial and aggressive personality. She's rude and abrasive to most people, and it's clear that she has been lonely and angry for most of her life. Lisbeth inhabits the dark side of society, and represents the pieces of the system that many people would rather pretend do not exist. That system has kept Lisbeth in darkness for so long that she's had to learn to survive and even thrive in it. Becoming a hacker and finding exploits in her world is a natural extension of her character, and it makes perfect sense that she'd be so proficient in this area. And while some of her methods may be quite violent and morally questionable, it's still impossible not to admire Lisbeth's strength and resilience in the face of immense trauma that she has experienced. Ultimately, Lisbeth's willingness to embrace the dark side of her personality is a testament to her strength and determination, as well as a powerful reminder that sometimes the most heroic acts can come from the most unexpected places. In the end, the movie is laser focused with one theme, summed up by Mikkel in this line.
I want you to help me catch a killer of women.
Lisbeth is empowered by her rage, and she uses her past trauma to motivate her to help other women and bring those who abuse them to at least some kind of justice. It's refreshing to watch a movie with only one major theme that spends its entire runtime dedicated to supporting it through its stellar script, subtle direction, precise cinematography, and very believable acting. The whole cast and crew brought their A-game, and it really shows. Although Daniel Craig, Stellan Skarsgård and Christopher Plummer are always great to watch, Rooney Mara is the standout for me. But I do have a soft spot for antisocial hacker characters, so some scenes of this movie are really hard to watch. It can be really brutal and graphic, but it's all in service of the story and none of the violence feels glorified. But it's a really engaging watch, and I wish Fincher, Mara and Craig had finished the full trilogy.